What you need in the building? How's everybody doing? Praise be to the Most High God, man, ever loving, ever forgiving, Most High God. We give God all the praise all day, every day. Timothy Bradley, man, Timothy Bradley said basically on the button of what most of us saw. Um, think about the Shakur versus De Los Santos fight, right? Shakur De Los Santos fight was a closer fight than Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney. When you think of Teofimo Lopez versus Sandor Martin fight, you can see points in the fight where Teofimo Lopez turned the dial back. I thought Teo won more rounds. I thought Teo also was able to double up the right hand and land his shots against Sandor Martin. He was able to do that because Sandor Martin, while he was fighting on the back foot, Teo was able to establish his jab. And from there, he mixed the jab up with his lead right hand. And it's very hard to jab against a southpaw, so it showed, again, the skill set that Teofimo Lopez had. In the case of, and even though Teo got check hooked twice coming in, and he got dropped twice, the second time he was off balance. The first time he got check hooked into the ropes, he really actually was hurt by that. But the second time he was off balance when he threw the right hand, he landed the right hand, but he got also check hooked at the same time. When I look at George Kambosos versus Maxie Hughes, a similar thing was happening where George Kambosos, again, circling Maxie Hughes to Maxie Hughes' power hand, but keeping a certain distance away from Maxie Hughes so that would that stupid woman please shut the fuck up. Okay, so, Teofimo Lopez, he was still landing, George Kambosos was still landing the right hand, and he was landing it, but it was later on in the fight. And he was doubling it up to the body and to the head. In the case of Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz, Teo just couldn't close the distance. The reason that was happening is because Jermaine Ortiz was also throwing his jab. And that's the key here. Sandor Martin sort of abandoned his jab for a bit. George Kambosos, because he was landing to Maxie Hughes' body, Maxie Hughes started to move away and stopped using his jab. But in the case of Jermaine Ortiz, who stayed on point, he was constantly throwing that jab into Teo's face, disrupting him and making him have to reset to close the distance. Jermaine understood range very well. Maxie Hughes had an idea of range, but he didn't know what to do. Once George Kambosos started to throw the left hook, he was throwing a left hook to cut Maxie Hughes off to the head and to the body, when Maxie Hughes would pivot into his left side. And also, what George Kambosos did with Maxie Hughes, which was very interesting, was he would feint as if he's going to the body, go to the head. He would feint as if he's going to the head and then go to the body. He used a lot of feints to close the distance of Maxie Hughes. In the case of Teofimo Lopez versus Sandor Martin, Teofimo Lopez's jab was still pumping. He was still pumping his jab. That helped him to find range, and then he would lead with the right hand. Or sometimes he would throw the right after the jab, or sometimes he would just lead with the right hand. Once you establish the jab, now you can vary your offense, and in so doing, you're able to now do whatever you want against your opponent. So that's what Teo was able to do with Sandor Martin. Against Jermaine Ortiz, he couldn't establish his jab because he constantly got disrupted by Jermaine Ortiz's jab. Very quick jab that Jermaine Ortiz would use as a counter. And he also used as a rangefinder. As such, Teo was kind of shooting blind all the time. He was trying to do leaping right hooks. He was trying to do leaping right uppercuts. He was trying to do leaping left uppercuts. And every time he did that, he paid for it. So he was hesitant to use those things. So he started to change. He started to do bobbing and weaving, try to get to the inside. Or should I say dipping and slipping. It wasn't bobbing and weaving, it was dipping and slipping. That didn't work because once he slipped under Jermaine Ortiz would use his forearm to push Teofimo Lopez down so he couldn't come back up. And then he would pivot around him while he's doing that. The difference between Jermaine Ortiz, which was another level, he's another level of boxer to Maxie Hughes and Sandor Martin, is his footwork. Jermaine Ortiz's footwork is on a whole other level because he will feint you one way, then he'll feint you back another way, then he'll feint you another way. Jermaine Ortiz, his footwork is so good that kind of like Floyd or like even Shakur Stevenson, he's able to go both ways. Sandor Martin wanted to circle a particular way. Maxie Hughes a particular way. However, Jermaine Ortiz could go one way or he could go the other way equally as well. Understand how skilled Jermaine Ortiz is because he's actually fighting in the southpaw stance, which is not the stance he traditionally fights in usually. He usually fights in the orthodox stance. So he would switch to orthodox sometimes to land certain shots. So Teofimo Lopez had an extremely difficult time trying to, first of all, box out Sandor Martin, even though, as Timothy Bradley correctly critiqued, he never used the left hook to try and catch Jermaine Ortiz circling out. He never used it. And Timothy Bradley was saying he's not cutting off the ring. And the reason he wasn't cutting off the ring because he wasn't trying to use leaping left hook. So he wasn't trying to use a left hook to stop Jermaine Ortiz from moving to his right, which Teofimo Lopez orchestrated. Teofimo Lopez is the one started circling to his right, to the power hand of Jermaine Ortiz. But what he didn't do was cut Jermaine Ortiz off with his left hook. He didn't try and box him in. So how you box in a fighter is you carry a fighter one direction, and then you close it down by inching in. So you're inching in bit by bit on your fighter until you can narrow it down. You understand what I'm saying? But he never did that. And so as a result of that, he was not able to cut off the ring effectively against Jermaine Ortiz, as, say, Canelo did against Jermell Charlo. Even though Jermell Charlo was still able to get out because, again, his footwork is just so great. He can change directions on the drop of a dime, and that's always very difficult for a fighter to track down and then to sort of isolate and cut off. But if you look at guys, you see, the other thing about Teofimo Lopez, and this is a problem with Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, guys like Maxie Hughes, guys like Sandor Martin, they're not good inside fighters. All right? You have to be an all-around fighter. You have to be a comprehensive all-around fighter. Teofimo Lopez needs such space to counter you. And he was doing some pretty good counters on Jermaine Ortiz, when Jermaine Ortiz, don't forget to smash the like button. I see the love you guys are sending me, but you also need to smash the like button to show some more love. Yeah, when you look at Jermaine Ortiz could fight on the inside. Just like Shakur Stevenson against De Los Santos, he can really fight on the inside. De Los Santos couldn't fight on the inside as well as Shakur could. Same thing here. Teofimo Lopez couldn't fight on the inside as well as Jermaine Ortiz could. You got to understand the skills Jermaine Ortiz brought to the table. Is immense amounts of skill. Immense amounts of skill. Okay? Jermaine Ortiz is highly underrated. Okay? And he did what he needed to do to win that fight. And I mean, he won rounds. You know, some people said they gave him 8 rounds. As you guys know, I gave Jermaine Ortiz 10 rounds. I only gave Teofimo Lopez 2 rounds. That's how dominant Jermaine Ortiz was. And it's not, what a lot of people are not understanding is, it's not how many punches you land. It's not how many punches you throw. It's how many punches you land. Okay? And in no way, shape, or form, I don't care about the punch stats. In no way, shape, or form did Teofimo Lopez land as many punches as Jermaine Ortiz. And Jermaine Ortiz wasn't just landing to the head. Jermaine Ortiz was going to the body. He was going to the head, particularly that long jab and that long straight left to the body. Teofimo Lopez would block it, deflect it at double left hand, straight lefts, or sometimes triple straight hands, because he knows the first one might be missed. So you have to go through with the second. He'd throw shotgun jabs. He'd do as if he's going to the body, come up to the top, right? And the way he got Teofimo Lopez to pause, why Teofimo Lopez wasn't just coming in on him, because he didn't know what Jermaine Ortiz was going to throw at him. Jermaine did throw also counter jabs, and he also called true straight jabs, but he also used the up jab, and he also used the power jab, the shotgun jab. So if Jermaine did like this, Tia didn't know if he was going to come up top here to the head or he was going to come straight up to the body. And so Jermaine was able to dictate because Jermaine was first. Okay? As I say, I thought I gave Teofimo the first round. And I think I gave him one of the middle rounds. Okay? That's it. I don't think that Teofimo Lopez did anything except he increased his intensity, he increased his aggression. But in the 10th, 11th, and 12th, he didn't really do anything. He landed one double right hand on Jermaine Ortiz in the 11th round, I recall very clearly. But Jermaine came back with a double left hand to Teofimo's face. Right after that, he responded with a double left hand, walked Teo into a check right hook, worked his body, and then at the end of the 11th round, he threw a flurry on Teofimo Lopez's body. And then when they locked up, he was still throwing punches on the inside stuff, uppercuts and stuff. So I'm just saying that when you look at Jermaine Ortiz, I thought he was clearly outlanding Teofimo Lopez in many rounds. Some rounds were kind of close, okay? But in many rounds, he controlled the pace, he controlled the fight. The thing that a lot of y'all do not respect is this guy came up from 135, and his very first fight at 140 is against one of the best fighters at 140. He got tough. No tune-ups. No tune-ups. No acclimatization. None of that. And he showed by using the southpaw stance how versatile he was. He used the southpaw. He never had to resort to anything. Like I said, he didn't have to make any adjustments because Teofimo Lopez, all the adjustments he made, he already nullified and neutralized. And then he was also throwing his offense. It's not about throwing many punches, as Floyd Mayweather will show you. It's about throwing effective punches. And I thought Jermaine Ortiz, whether you thought they were clean punches, whether you thought they were punches that didn't snap Teo's head back or hurt him, was landing more punches than Teofimo Lopez in most rounds. Okay? It's like Canelo versus Triple G. Canelo's the guy landing the punches, not Triple G in the first fight. Canelo's the guy tagging up Triple G. Triple G was touching Canelo to the forehead with those little touch jabs to find out where Canelo was, but he couldn't land none of his power shots. He couldn't land anything. He couldn't land a real decent jab that Triple G usually lands. He couldn't land none of those. Okay? And Canelo was landing all his power shots. It's like Canelo couldn't miss that night. But Canelo didn't have the power. He didn't have the power at that time to knock out Triple G or seriously hurt him. He didn't. So a lot of the shots that Canelo was landing on Triple G seemed to not have any effect on him. It was having an effect on him, but it seemed to not have any effect. It's the same case scenario here with Jermaine Ortiz. That's why Jermaine wasn't going for power. He was instead going for accuracy. And he chose to outbox Teofimo Lopez because his power wasn't sufficient to stop Teofimo Lopez. He's trying to break him down, but he knew he had to box him. It wasn't he was fighting scared. He was fighting smart. That's smart boxing. It's not about going toe-to-toe and being as strong as you can, like how Demetrius Andre went toe-to-toe with David Benavidez. No, you're certainly going to lose. You're certainly going to get knocked out because Teofimo Lopez is the bigger, stronger guy, the two of you. Why would you go toe-to-toe with a guy when you're trying to win a fight? If you're seriously trying to win a fight. So he tagged up Teofimo Lopez at will, right? When he wanted to tag him up, when it was safe to tag him up, okay? He wasn't taking any unnecessary risk and unnecessary chances. He used his footwork. He used his angles to get to Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez has a great skill set, but he was always a step behind. Teofimo Lopez's feet are in no way as educated as Jermaine Ortiz's feet. And do see when Jermaine Ortiz went on the offense against Teofimo Lopez could go nowhere. He cut off the ring on Teofimo Lopez. The one who was cutting off the ring was Jermaine Ortiz. When he turned the tide on Teofimo Lopez and threw those 8-punch, 9-punch flurries on him. All right, 4 or 3 out of those 8-punch flurries landed. Even though Teofimo Lopez was taking the steam off of it by riding it or rolling it, whatever, he was landing. That's why Jermaine Ortiz was able to outthink, outmaneuver, and outpunch Teofimo Lopez. But understand, he's coming up from 135. He's coming up from 135. He's boxing in a stance that we don't see him usually boxing. And he's doing that to Teofimo Lopez. Think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. And we know Jermaine Ortiz to be an offensive fighter. We know him to, be very aggressive offensively and overwhelm fighters. But we saw him now on the defense playing defense. Now, when you look at Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos, Jermaine Ortiz versus Teofimo Lopez was a way better fight than that, because both guys were throwing punches. Both guys wanted to hit each other. Now, both guys were missing quite considerably because both guys had good defense. Both guys had good defense. It was a chess match you were watching there. But Jermaine Ortiz was landing more because he had the better game plan and he had better skills. And he had his skills much better honed, and he was fighting at a range which was comfortable to him but uncomfortable to Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, the entire fight, was trying to close distance, and he never succeeded at doing that. Never once. And so, because he couldn't close the distance, because his jab wasn't working, because Jermaine Ortiz took away his jab, he was shooting blind with the right hand. He wanted to try and lead with the right hand and sneak in the distance and catch Jermaine Ortiz with his speed. But Jermaine Ortiz has equal speed and was equally evaded and equally maintain range, and also throw a counter jab at the same time while he's moving back, catching Teofimo Lopez at times. Or Teofimo Lopez had to get out of the jab, disrupting Teofimo Lopez's offense, make him have to reset and start all over again. Meanwhile, Jermaine's on a roll, tagging him up, moving around the ring, making him consume energy, frustrating him. That's what Jermaine Ortiz did. Now, there was something on Pro Box TV, and I want to debunk it because there's a lot of lies going on here, because I believe it's a propaganda campaign to sort of blackball Jermaine Ortiz, and I'm not into it. And I know Paulie's not into that. Paulie actually lashed back at that, but Paulie's still playing the propaganda game. And Chris Algieri, man, this dude is sucking Top Rank's dick right now. He's dick riding hard, okay? And Timothy Bradley called him out on it, actually. He said, how much they paying you? Chris Algieri, I don't know what his story is, but anyway, Paulie Malignaggi said something that's very true. Paulie Malignaggi said, if you're going to criticize Jermaine Ortiz for fighting and saying, as Bob Arum said, that he was a disgrace to boxing or whatever they call it, what is Teofimo Lopez then? Okay? It takes two to tango. It takes two to cooperate. So are you saying that Teofimo Lopez is a disgrace to boxing? Because that's your feature fighter. That's your star fighter. It takes two to tango. You can't be going in on Jermaine Ortiz for doing the right thing, fighting the right fight so he can get the win. And you're not going into Teofimo Lopez for not doing the right thing, not doing what he's supposed to do. Cut off the ring, bring pressure to Jermaine Ortiz, work his body on the inside, and give us a spectacular fight. Make Jermaine Ortiz fight. He wasn't able to do it. So who's the disgrace to boxing? Is it the guy that did what he needed to do to win? Or is it the guy who couldn't do what he was supposed to do to win the fight? That's what I want to know. And Paulie was right. Paulie was dead on the mark with that. Shout out to Paulie Malignaggi on getting that right. Not playing politics. Now, he wasn't able to go as far as to say it was a robbery, which it was. And I don't know why Paulie won't say that, because Paulie should know, just because a guy's not the A side doesn't mean he ain't get robbed. And just because Jermaine Ortiz is Paulie even admitted it. If this was Shakur Stevenson, if this was Devin Haney fighting that exact same fight, they would have gotten the nod. And we know this because Shakur Stevenson just fought Edwin De Los Santos in what people call a snooze fest. I didn't think it was a snooze fest per se. Wasn't a lot of punches landing, but Shakur did that fight out. And that was a closer fight than this fight. Because Edwin De Los Santos actually knew what he was doing and was trying to close the distance, and he actually tried to bait Shakur in, and he caught Shakur with a couple of shots. You know what I mean? That was a closer fight, a better fight. I thought Shakur pulled it out in the 12th, landing that straight right hand on Edwin De Los Santos, making Edwin De Los Santos so frustrated that he was making so many mistakes because he had to sell out to win, that he was able to tag him up and win the 12th round. Okay? But Shakur was mostly on the back foot in that fight. He started off on the front foot, but he ended up on the back foot most of that fight. Now, the people who are saying and making excuses of Joe Habib and Gail Falkenthal, who are saying that, Steve Weisman always judges for the aggressor. Well, Steve Wiseman, as Timothy Bradley, again, so correctly and eloquently said, Timothy Bradley was on the mark here. These are the same three judges that judged Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. They're the exact same judges. Tim Cheatham, I can't remember the middle guy, and Steve Wiseman. And guess what? Steve Wiseman had it in favor of Shakur 116-112, meaning the fight wasn't close. Shakur won 8 rounds out of 4, out of 12. And Edwin De Los Santos won 4. But this same Steve Wiseman, supposedly is a very experienced judge, suddenly has it swing the opposite way, where the boxer who's outboxing the puncher boxer, suddenly he sees it the puncher boxer's way, the aggressor. Shakur wasn't the aggressor against Edwin De Los Santos. He wasn't. It was Edwin who was making the fight. Why didn't he give Edwin the fight? And that was a closer fight than this fight. Because Teal was clueless how to handle Jermaine Ortiz. He was clueless. He was frustrated. He was clueless. That's why he was punching his hands, beckoning Jermaine Ortiz to come to the center of the ring. When Jermaine Ortiz stepped to him, Jermaine Ortiz did what he needed to do and dominated him. And it was Teofimo Lopez who was on the ropes. It was Teofimo Lopez on defensive mode. And he had Teofimo Lopez in the corner. Teofimo Lopez couldn't escape. Showing you that Jermaine Ortiz also is able to cut off the ring. Something Teo can't do against him. Showing how much more superior Jermaine Ortiz is to Teofimo Lopez as a fighter. Jermaine Ortiz is a better fighter than Teofimo Lopez. And mind you, this is a guy coming up from 135 facing you who have had 4 fights at 140. You're more acclimatized. You're the bigger puncher. You're the bigger, stronger guy. But he's cutting off the ring on you and throwing punches at you and landing some? What's going on here? So it's not just that Jermaine Ortiz exposed Teofimo Lopez. It's that he beat Teofimo Lopez. Let's get that out of the way. Clearly. Some people try to be conservative and say 8-4. I am not going to be that. I know what I saw. And I had to look for rounds to give Teofimo Lopez. That's how bad it was. When I saw the fight, and again, I wasn't coming from an anti-Teofimo Lopez perspective. When I watched the fight, I was just watching it to see what had happened. Okay? I don't hate Teofimo Lopez. You know, I knew Jermaine Ortiz was going to be a tough challenge. When I saw the fight, it was clear. And I told you guys, I was in the arena. I was, on the move. I was watching the fight on the move. I was in the arena, and I saw it, and I was like, yeah, this dude got outboxed, period. And I mean, like really outboxed, like really badly outboxed. Like devastatingly badly outboxed. Like he didn't even know what to do. He didn't know what to do. He wasn't coming back. He wasn't landing nothing at all. So when Coach Anthony says, y'all trying to defend Teo, y'all don't know shit about boxing. Or Greg Hackett is saying, I don't know what people saw, but this is clearly a fight. I don't know if people were influenced by the commentary team and they thought the fight was close. This was not a close fight, ladies and gentlemen. It was competitive to some degree, but it wasn't close. It wasn't. People are saying, well, Jermaine Ortiz needed to show clearly that he was separating himself from Teofimo Lopez. Well, what more you want the guy to do? You want him to stop him, drop him? That's what he needs to do? He's not a name. So you guys are making demands of a guy who, because he's not a name, y'all are making these unfair demands of him. It's unfair. Jermaine Ortiz needed to do more. Like what? Like what? He was counterpunching the guy all night long. Every single round. There wasn't a round he didn't counterpunch him. There wasn't a round he wasn't landing shots on him. Yes, he wasn't landing shots, the hardest shots in the world, on Teofimo Lopez because he's not the biggest puncher in the world. And yes, Jermaine Ortiz did promise a knockout, but that was never on the cards. I could see it. So I understand that. But barring that, what are you talking about? I'm still trying to understand what they're talking about. And they're talking about the later rounds. Jermaine Ortiz was fading. That's what Chris Algieri said. Like, brah, what fight did you watch? Okay, Jermaine Ortiz didn't fade later on in the stretch. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Make this make sense. I know I did not watch the fight 3 or 4 times. I watched it only twice. I didn't need to watch it 3 or 4 times. It's so clear to me. It's so clear to me. What are you guys on? You will not cloud the truth. I will not allow you guys to cloud the truth. I will not allow you to lie to the casuals. I will not allow you to lie to the fans. What you need is not going to allow you to lie. That was a robbery. And just because the guy's name is Jermaine Ortiz, y'all was making a big fuss about Sandor Martin. You know why? Sandor Martin is a white dude. Okay? Y'all don't make no fuss about Shakur beating De Los Santos. Y'all diss Shakur. Yeah, you diss him. But you didn't make such a big deal about De Los Santos because he's a black dude. And De Los Santos could have won that fight. That could have gone either way. That was a close fight. But I thought Shakur eked it out in the 12th. Okay? And so back in front of this boxing. George Kambosos comes and closes the gap and starts to land body shots and headshots to Maxie Hughes. Right hands and left hooks when Maxie Hughes is spinning out. He's catching him with left hooks. Instead of Maxie Hughes catching him with a check hook, he goes under and he rolls out and catches him with a leaping left hook, or he catches him with a left hook as he's spinning out. But y'all say Kambosos is trash and Maxie Hughes beat Kambosos. And Maxie Hughes did no such thing. Okay? Why is it the narrators are so false and fake? Why y'all praise the guys who are fake and you critique and you go in on the guys who are legit? This is I got another conversation to make with y'all. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is going to end very badly for Terrence Crawford. Very badly. Y'all are underestimating Canelo. Highly. No way in hell Terrence Crawford is going to go from 147 to 168 and beat Canelo Alvarez. I'm going to say that right now. Canelo will destroy him. Because he doesn't have to respect his power. He won't have to respect nothing about him. He's going to go in and destroy him. Destroy him. Canelo's going to march down on him with the high guard and he's going to destroy him. That's all that's going to happen. Because Canelo's a smart fighter and y'all are underestimating Canelo Alvarez. Yes. Canelo Alvarez, he don't got the, he's a flat-footed fighter sort of like, and he don't have the greatest, what's the word I'm looking for? He don't have the greatest consistency. His foot cardio is not the most consistent. But against a small little guy like that, man, he gonna trash him. He gonna destroy him like a toy, like a rag doll. Unless Terrence Crawford is taking steroids. Unless Terrence Crawford is taking some sort of performance enhancer. No way in fucking hell. Terrence Crawford just gonna jump up to 168, take on Canelo Alvarez and beat him. It's not happening. Not in this modern era. Okay? I'm telling you right now. I don't know why people are egging on this. I don't know why Terrence Crawford thinks he can do it. Because he can't. He can't. And I don't care what anybody else says out there. There are weight classes for a reason. And the people who are egging this on, you are giving Canelo an easy out. That's what you're doing. Canelo should be facing David Benavidez. Canelo should be facing David Benavidez. Why is Canelo taking on a little guy like Terrence Crawford? I don't care how willing Terrence Crawford is. Terrence, stop it. Stop keeping Canelo from facing David Benavidez. That's what you're doing. You're blocking it. You're blocking that fight. Stop it, Terrence. Take on somebody in your weight class. Take on a 154-pounder. Knock him out and knock out Tim Tszyu. Then we would quicker believe that you can knock out Canelo, because you ain't doing shit to Canelo. Not shit to Canelo. Canelo's not no chump. Look at the man's neck. Look at the man how he's built. He ain't no chump. Plus he's a smart boxer. Man, he would destroy you. I don't even have Jamal Charlo beating him. I don't have David Benavidez beating him. I don't have Artur Beterbiev beating him. Are you crazy? Listen, there is weight classes for a reason in boxing. And I don't care that Canelo came up from 140 or 147. I don't care. He ain't at 147 now. He ain't at 154 now. Ain't nothing Crawford can throw to hurt Canelo. You annoy him. You ain't gonna hurt him. Okay? And it's not about hurting him. And I understand that you can box and all of that, but come on now. Reality. He don't really have to truly, really respect your power. He's still gonna stay behind the high guard. He's gonna still make sure he don't get touched like that. But he gonna close down the ring on your ass, and he gonna beat the stuffing out of your ass. You ain't gonna be able, and if you try to fight back, you gonna get broken. He will break. Canelo has killed someone in the ring. You will get broken. Bad. Okay, because he can box. Canelo can box. He can go on his back foot and move around the ring as well. He can box. But his punch is not going to be like an Errol Spence punch. It is going to be 4 weight classes harder than an Errol Spence punch, because Canelo's fought at 175 against the very best, Dmitry Bivol and Sergey Kovalev. You ain't gonna hit Canelo with nothing he ain't felt before. Nothing. Okay? So it's suicide. It's a suicide attempt. You gotta have some sort of weight in your little ass. And your ass is too light for Canelo. It's just what it is. Your ass is too light for Canelo. He gonna light you up. He gonna light you up. I'm telling you, he's patient. He's patient. He can keep his D tight and then catch you in between the shots. He's a very patient fighter. He gonna see what you got. And when you realize you ain't got shit, he's going to disrespect you. It doesn't matter how hard you fight. He's going to disrespect you. And he's going to beat you up. Bad. Now, with respect to Teofimo Lopez, Teofimo Lopez versus Terence Crawford, it's the same scenario, except Teofimo Lopez can move up to 147. But taking on Terence Crawford, first fight at 147, what are you trying to do? Get yourself killed? Terence Crawford is not an ordinary fighter. This is not about weight classes. This is just about simply skill. And the things Terence Crawford can do, I mean, Teofimo Lopez is a flawed fighter. Fill in the blanks. Yes, target practice. That's what I see. You thought Errol Spence beatdown was bad. Imagine Teofimo Lopez versus Terence Crawford, who should be at 154, to be honest with you. He's a big 147. Terence Crawford would kill. I am not joking. He would kill Teofimo Lopez in the ring. He would destroy him. Destroy him. Souffle him. Put him under fire and slowly souffle him, as he said he would do to Errol Spence. Okay? He would destroy him. And what benefit is that to Terence Crawford? He beat a smaller guy. He has bigger challenges like Jamel Charlo, Tim Tszyu, Errol Spence rematch, if that ever happens. Those are the challenges he has in front of him. Those are the big fights he has in front of him. Okay? I wouldn't even bother with 160 at this point in time. I would go up to 154, dominate the next opponent I face, whoever that be. Right? It's great to make history. Maybe you end your career at 160, taking on a guy like Erislandy Lara. Which, by the way, Erislandy Lara, I think he's taking on some other guy besides Danny. I thought Danny Garcia would face Erislandy Lara. But to be honest with you, to be fair, Erislandy Lara would, I think, dominate Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, he's cool, but again, he also fights at a certain range. And Erislandy Lara, just off of pure boxing, would beat him. If Keith Thurman could beat him, Erislandy Lara would have a field day with him. Right? Being the naturally bigger guy who can move, he has great footwork. Say that Danny Garcia can't cut off the ring, but the footwork of Erislandy Lara is just phenomenal. As old as he is. Cuban School of Boxing. I don't see Danny Garcia beating Erislandy Lara. I just don't see it. It's very hard to beat Erislandy Lara. It's just very hard to beat him because his footwork. And he always stays on the move. And if he boxes Danny Garcia, boxing him, turn him, he'll beat him easy. But I don't think that fight is next. From what I'm hearing, he's going to be facing, forgot what the guy's name is, the guy that faced the kid from Australia, I forgot what his name is, that beat Manny Pacquiao. He'll be facing him, it seems, next. All right, cool. So, okay, fighter. We have to dispel the lies out here. There's just too many lies, and I don't really dig the lies. And people can say, oh, well, you know, Teofimo Lopez is money for Top Rank. That might be so. But the money, if the money loses a certain fight, that don't mean he's not money. Look, Ryan Garcia lost to Tank. He's still money man. He's still the money man. Oscar De La Hoya lost to a lot of great fighters. He's still a money man, and to some unknown fighters. He's still a money man. Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. Still a money man to this day. So I think these promoters and these companies do a disservice to the sport, to the fighters themselves, to overall the image that casuals understand, the fans. It really hurts the sport when you are inconsistent and then you try to create narratives. You try to cloud what is a very clear win by one fighter. You say you're giving different perspectives, but when we start to look at the facts that you try to present with your perspectives, they have holes because the facts don't match up to your opinion. They just don't match up. Why are you being intellectually dishonest? Why are you being dishonest about something? Timothy Bradley spoke what is the predominant and should be the predominant opinion about the fight between Jermaine Ortiz and Teofimo Lopez. Now, ProBox TV tried to do a gradation. They tried to show by excuses, you know, a guy like Paulie Malignaggi saying, yes, I picked Jermaine Ortiz, but, you know, it was a close fight and it could have gone either way. I don't see it as a robbery. No, Paulie, you know it was a robbery. You box. You know what boxing is. And Jermaine Ortiz, you know, probably didn't do enough to win. Beat the star. We need to stop the bullshit in boxing. All the narratives that are bullshit. Teofimo Lopez lost. Period. Say that. And let's try to proceed forward the right way. Okay? Bob Arum is talking out his ass, as usual. Teofimo Lopez started talking a whole bunch of rubbish at the end of the fight because he knew he lost. Jermaine Ortiz was able to articulate exactly what he did in the fight to beat Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez does not know or knows how to articulate why he could not stop Jermaine Ortiz from implementing his plan. All he keeps on saying is he's running, which is an incoherency. It shows you do not know how to cut off the ring on a guy like that, how to stop a guy like that. Things that Timothy Bradley was yelling in the telecast. Throw your left hook. Cut him off from going left. Going to your right. To your left, sorry. You understand what I'm saying? So, Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo wasn't able to throw it because he was too far out, because Jermaine Ortiz established range with his jab. But nonetheless, what I'm saying to you guys is, that when you make excuses instead of taking responsibility, as Shakur Stevenson actually did. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson, actually. Took responsibility for not performing at his best. But then he deflected and talked about his arm and his arm and his arm, and he screwed up. He screwed up, standing up like a man and taking your loss like a man. Don't make no excuses, Shakur. Just correct it. Get it better. This fight will make you a better fighter if you take to heart what De Los Santos did to you and you learn from it. Otherwise, you're going to be the same guy we're going to see again against an opponent like that. Jermaine Ortiz did the best he could with the game plan he had, and he executed to perfection. Instead of being rewarded for that, the man is robbed, and the other man is making excuses. Oh, he ran, he this, he that. I need to have the right opponent in front of me. I'm hearing other people on other channels making excuses for him. Oh, Teofimo Lopez, I've seen Teofimo Lopez better. I know Teofimo Lopez could do better. He could do better if he goes back to the drawing board and works on his game. He ain't going to do better if he continues to go down the path he's going. And this win did not help him. And again, all I'm doing is constructive criticism because I love Teofimo Lopez. I don't hate him. But the dishonesty in boxing, the bold, blatant, horrible, atrocious nepotism and corruption in boxing should have people outraged. Steve Weisfield did the abominable. So why are you making excuses for him? He's a corrupt judge who got paid somehow, some way to put that scorecard together. And that scorecard just typifies what the other two judges are on the take with. And it took a long time for them to deliberate and get the answer, which shows me that they were on the take. They had to falsify the shit to get it to what they needed it to be. You understand? Teofimo Lopez had to win that fight. Jermaine Ortiz could not be a spoiler. I heard that Bob Arum signed Teofimo Lopez back to Top Rank, so that's why. And Bob Arum is prattling like if, going in on Jermaine Ortiz because he re-signed Teofimo Lopez. But so he's willing to destroy one boxer's career to build up another. That's a nasty, nasty way of doing things. Dirty, low down, nasty. Bob Arum showing again his true colors. Everybody want to talk about what's his name? The black promoter. I forgot what his name is. I can't remember his name right now. Very famous promoter. Promoted Mike Tyson, right? Don King. Everybody wants to go in on Don King. Arum's nastier than Don King, man. He a dirty old fart. Need to get his ass out of boxing. I don't like Bob Arum, if you haven't realized. Shows that nasty streak that those Israelis have. They're willing to kill the Palestinians to get what they want. He got that dirty streak in him. I don't have a problem saying that about Bob Arum. He a dirty, low-down son of a... That's how I feel about him. He hurt a lot of people's careers. He spoke a lot of lies about boxers. Tarnished their careers. HBO did the same. With Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant. Nasty old... Okay, don't get me started on those guys. Jim Lampley's kind of turning the corner now. He's changed his tune a bit, but still, can't forgive them for what they did to Roy Jones Jr.'s career, Bernard Hopkins' career, Floyd Mayweather's career. Okay, I can't forgive them. Even Mike Tyson's career, how they talked about Mike Tyson. Can't keep a good man down. So, quite frankly, Teofimo Lopez needs to go back to the drawing board. I'm hearing talk about Carissa Shields versus Cyborg or Alicia Baumgartner. So Carissa's got some potential fights. The problem with that is both Cyborg and Alicia Baumgartner are smaller fighters coming up in weight. And they want to box Carissa Shields, apparently. Like a Chihuahua versus a pit bull. Who do you think would win? Just asking. I love Chris Cyborg, but this is boxing we're talking about. This is totally different. Carissa Shields would destroy you. Destroy you. Alicia Baumgartner, please take your little light ass and sit down. Sit down. You're like a Chihuahua right now. Unless you can make 154, go up to Carissa at 154 and challenge Carissa Shields for, if she has a title at 154 title, please keep quiet. Carissa is not going down to 147 for you. You're too small. What? Why are these little guys trying to what? You got a little guy complex or something, Alicia? Come on now. You know, you're too small for Carissa. She's way too big for you. She's too big. She punches 168 pounders. She fights against 175 pounders. Why would, I don't understand. Why you trying to be great? You trying to be great? You know what? You might end up being greatly damaged goods. These light in the ass little fighters. They got a lot of balls. They got big hearts. But I gotta say, if you want to get destroyed, you want to get beat up real bad. Now, let me tell you who Carissa should be taking off. There's a fighter at 168. I forgot what her name is right now. Carissa should be taking on her. She's an up-and-comer. She hasn't won a world title yet. I believe she's supposed to face the former 168-pound undisputed champion. I forgot what her name is. That's the fighter Carissa Shields should be taking on. Okay? All those other little guys, they cool, but y'all's little chihuahuas compared to Carissa Shields. Carissa Shields need to fight big girls. Big women. People at 168, 160. That's where she should be. On 154. You know, draining her to make 147 makes no sense. Okay? Just makes no sense. How low can you go? That's how these little chihuahuas want to. And they're like, until the pit bull said, then it's all problems then. Then they all shut up and run. Okay? Stop it. Stop it, small guys. Little guys, stay little. Okay? I know that Naoya Inoue, he's another little guy. He got to go up so many weight classes just to face Gervonta Tank Davis. That don't make no sense. Y'all be talking about these fights. Why would you want a little guy to come all the way up? Like, because of Manny Pacquiao? Manny Pacquiao don't come every day, man. He don't come every day. Okay? He don't. So, I mean, those are stretch fights, man. It's still stretch fights. I mean, you knew he might get up to 130 one day. Might even reach 135 one day. Maybe he takes on Tank then. But as of now, no. No. That's being taking advantage of little guys. That's wrong. Yes, I know Rigondeaux went up 2 weight classes to face Lomachenko. But he was a little guy. He basically is a bantamweight facing a featherweight. That's not right. These are not right things, man. Yeah, the little guy got heart, but come on, there's weight classes for a reason, man. And you got ample people in your weight class you can face, or people your size that you can face. So why not face the guys that are your size? Why is Canelo ducking David Benavidez? David Benavidez earned a shot. Canelo should be taking on him. Then you can do whatever you want after that. You can do Terrence Crawford, whatever, if you want to do something. But I don't understand that. Tyson Fury be ducking Usyk. Hard. Ducking him like the plague. Usyk won that work. Okay? This is what boxing... So I'm trying to say to people, we mustn't encourage people to duck people, but at the same time, we got to understand their weight classes for a reason. And people should be fighting people in their weight class more than trying to do, you know, like when Mikey Garcia did jump up like 2 weight classes or 3 to face Errol Spence and then get his ass whooped. Okay? It didn't make no sense. Why do you do that? You should have faced Lomachenko. You know what I mean? And this is my point. My point is, In boxing, yes, you have to do things that make sense, money and sense, but you also have to do things that make sense, period. You know, what the fans could come to expect of you. You have contemporaries in your own weight class who are great fighters, then face them. It really looks like a duck when you have to go up 2 divisions or 3 divisions to face somebody way outside of your division when you're supposed to be the king of the division or whatever, and you're not handling the people in your division. It's a cop-out. Okay? That's all I got to say. I'm what you need. You guys have a good one. I spent an hour on this, but I felt I needed to still add something extra because I'm tired of these fake narratives. These fake narratives that easily can be debunked. Easily debunked. Again, I see people smashing like buttons and stuff. I don't know where they're smashing these like buttons from, but my like button itself is not, for some reason, it's not activating. I don't know if it's YouTube or somebody doing this to me. But anyway, smash the like button. You can subscribe, you can share, you can comment, and you can also donate via PayPal. I'm what you need. Peace.